Friends and viewer, good day. Charles Dickens, the famous writer of uh, Tale of Two Cities, the novel best known by him, Oliver Twist, Great Expectation, and David Copperfield. Today, one of its another novel, The Old Curiosity Shop. The name of this is Old Curiosity Shop. This novel, it is published in 1840. This is a fictional work of him. So the old was published, first of all, this novel was published in his serial novel between 1840 and 1841 in a weekly magazine. So let us come on towards the story of this. The story of this novel starts like this. Nell and her grandfather lived together in a set of rooms attached to the titular curiosity shop, a strange little storefront full of odd antiques, beside running errands for her grandfather. Nell also teaches Kit, their servant, how to write. Kit is obviously fond of Nell, and he displays a devotion to her beyond the professional demands of his position. He often delays going home until he is sure she is safe in bed for the night. One evening, a stranger helps Nell find her way home. That same night, her grandfather leaves for the evening and does not return until hours later. The stranger returned to the curiosity shop a week later and chances upon a meeting between Frederick, Neil's brother, Mr. Daniel Quilp, Mr. Dix Swiveller, and Neil's grandfather. There is a heated discussion of the family's finances and Neil's eligibility for marriage. Privately, the grandfather tells the stranger he plans to leave Nell a substantial fortune when he dies, securing her a future free from the poverty to which her parents fell victim. Frederick and Dick plan to arrange a marriage between Nell and Dick, ensuring Fred will be able to get his hands on Neil's inheritance. Quilp learns that grandfather has a gambling problem and has actually squandered Nell's entire inheritance on the games. Her grandfather is now deep in debt to Quilp, and when Quilp confronts him about his secret, the grandfather mistakenly assumes Kit revealed the truth. This betrayal triggers an intense mental breakdown, and the grandfather falls ill. In the meantime, Quilp seizes the shop and liquidates the entire inventory in order to get his money back. Nell and her grandfather flee the city in secret. Kit begins working for a new family, the Garlands. Fred and Dick approach Quilp with their plan to find Neil and marry her off, as they are still ignorant to the reality that her fortune does not exist. Quilp agrees to help them, knowing full well there is no wealth to be had because he is eager to see the man suffer. Quilp enlists Samson and Sally, Brass, a brother and sister pair of law practitioners who recently rented out their spare room to the mysterious single gentleman. Quilp further sets up Dick with a job as Brass's clerk, and he befriends their much abused house servant, whom he nicknamed the Marchioness. While traversing the countryside, Nell and her grandfather encounters all manner of people, including a traveling punch and Judy show, an animal trainer whose dogs can dance and play a crank organ, a poor schoolmaster, and a well off woman who runs a waxwork show. Nell is briefly employed at the waxwork, but they have to leave abruptly when Nell learns that her grandfather has resumed his gambling habit and once again fallen into debt. They travel by foot to a manufacturing town where the last of Neil's wages run out and they must beg for food and alms. Nell's health deteriorates. She faints in the street from exhaustion and shock when she realizes that the stranger she just begged from is actually the same schoolmaster who helped them before. Quilp and the Brasses scheme to frame Kit for theft. Once free of Fred's influence, Dick turns out to be a surprisingly magnanimous character, and he works with the Marchinius, who routinely eavesdropped on the Brasses. To clear Kit's name, the single gentleman lodging at the Brasses is revealed to be Neil's grandfather's brother. He took the rooms to facilitate his search for his family. He's also the strange stranger who helped Neil find her way home in the first chapter. Using what he has learned from tracking Nell's travels, taking with everyone who helped her along the way, the single gentleman assembles a rescue party, including a recently freed kid to bring them home to London. Nell and her grandfather join the schoolmaster and the village where he now works, and they take up residence in a pair of old personage houses on the grounds of ruined church. Nell spends her time sprucing up the houses and tending to the plants in the graveyard. She befriends the schoolmaster's new student, and the entire village quickly becomes very fond of her. By this point, her grandfather's mental state has significantly deteriorated, and he seems aware of very little that happens around him. Neil's health improved only slightly after her fainting episode, and she seems to be on the decline yet again. By the time Kit and the rescue party arrive, Nell has passed away. Her grandfather is now so distraught that he has lost all connection to reality. He is unaware that Nell has even died, and he cannot acknowledge her death even after her burial. He sits sentinel at her gravestone, waiting for her to come back until his health fades and he too passes away. They are buried side by side in London. Quilp falls into the Thames River and drowns. The Brasses are arrested and upon release eventually become beggars themselves. Fred Trent goes abroad and lives recklessly, dying in France. Dick and the Marchinius marry, and he pays for her education and renames her Sophronia Spinks. Kit returns home and marries Barbara, the Garland's other servant, and they start a family together. As his children grew up, Kit tells him the story of little Nell and regularly shows them the site of the old curiosity shop until the streets and storefront change so much that he is no longer sure where exactly the place was. So, friends and viewers, this is the story of the old curiosity shop. This is the story of the unfortunate and poor girl, Nell, and how she became the victim of her, of the circumstances, how she died, and what a lovely character Nell has. So the themes of this novel is city versus country. The shop, the sharp contrast between city and the country underpins every scene in the novel. In the beginning, all the reader knows is the grimy and greedy centre of London, where the titular curiosity shop stand, as Nell and her grandfather venture further out into the countryside. They find peace and freedom away from the commercialized trapping of their old home. If Daniel Quilp, Frederick Trent, or the Barassis appeared in one of the rural hamlets through which Nell and her grandfather pass, these characters would feel like a pollutants in the comparatively tranquil, undisturbed landscape. The manufacturing town where Nell and her grandfather stay that night with the furnace tender is the first time in their journey that they return to any town larger than the small country village. And it is also the first place Nell succumbed to the exhaustion that will later calm her life. Here, under a smoke filled sky, Nell encounters scenes of urban suffering she never saw while living in London. She begs for alms from people who have nothing left to give, even to their own children. Children who, in the case of family, have likely died from starvation. In the countryside, the families she met are just poor, as if not poorer than many people in London, but they have found happiness in the simplicity and earnestness of rural domestic life. So, ladies and gentlemen, this is the story of The Old Curiosity Shop by Charles Dickens. I hope you will enjoy it. Thank you.